tell me when.
Good.
All right, hold on now.
Glenn, can you go to my side? Check it out. Right now we're live. There's no video, but right now it's being everything's being captured what we're saying.
So if I speak in this.
Yep.
Testing, testing, testing.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Glenn, you got it? Right here, Dr. K.
1, 2, 3, testing.
Oh, the closed caption is on. It looks nice.
Hello, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Yeah, I'll see if I can take it off. I did take it off.
801.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
And then I'll
So
testing, and we'll test those other ones. But I want to call this gentleman and see if he's. Test.
How is it, Glenn?
Is this on? Testing, good.
How is it, Glenn? Good? Now it's live. It's live. It's just,
Did you get any feedback? Static? Okay. Now it's too loud. Okay. But it sounded clear though, right? All right. I really appreciate the help. Thank you. All right, bye.
What do you say, Dr. King?
He said it sounded clear. He said we were too loud. So that's good.
Well, you know I'm loud anyways. Better loud than not hear
Right,
than not.
right.
All right, so.
You'll just mute us now?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. So may we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get the moment. Okay, let's scratch that. We can put it up.
So before we get our evening started, I just wanted to just have a moment of silence to recognize what is happening in Ukraine right now. So if I could have everyone just stand and bow their faces for just a moment to recognize what's going on in the Ukraine. Thank you all, and our prayers and thoughts are with the Ukrainian people at this point. So welcome to tonight's special meeting and work session. Tonight there's a resolution on the floor by McKinley that the safety and security of our BPS family is of the utmost priority. Our thoughts and prayers are with all that have been impacted by this tragedy. Children can't learn if they don't feel safe. Teachers and staff are not as effective or impactful if they do not feel safe. We will receive an update as to where we are with the reset plan that is in process to achieve that goal. Earlier I received results from our survey from the BTF. While our teachers support our efforts, they feel as if they are not part of the process. We will work to ensure that the voices of our teachers are heard. We've also heard from other people throughout the district regarding the security issues. And this resolution is designed to address that, not just McKinley and the reset, but as part of an overall security plan for the district. Now, I speculate that some of you in the audience may be here for other reasons as well. Normally we don't get this kind of outpouring for a special session or a work session. So to the members of the press, I apologize. I have not been as accessible as I've liked been these last few days. Between our Big Five lobby days, conversations with Western New York delegations, and a few other reasons, it wasn't possible. I will try to make myself more available in the future. With that being said, I'm going to turn the floor over to Vice President Rivera, who requested to make a few comments.
Thank you.
I think that echo a lot of what Board President Intrusive has said. So good evening, Buffalo Public Schools community. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this special meeting. Before we begin, I think it can't be said enough. I would like to state again that our hearts and prayers continue to be with the victim and their family in the aftermath of this terrible incident on February 9th. We continue to pray and hope for their recovery. Our hearts are also with our McKinley and BPS communities. We are dedicated to supporting their health and safety. As a result, we will be discussing the updated McKinley Climate and Culture Plan, as well as presenting a resolution to establish an expert examination into the February 9th, 2022 incident at McKinley High School. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our district partners to start with the updated McKinley Climate and Culture Plan.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, community. My name is Toya Wilson. I'm the Associate Superintendent for School Leadership, working with McKinley. And joining me in this presentation is Principal Mustafa Khalil of McKinley. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on our reopening plan. The McKinley team has been working around the clock to implement elements for the restart plan that would help students and families feel comfortable returning to in-person instruction at McKinley after the unfortunate event from February 9th. It must be noted that some of these elements of the plan were started with first semester and should be considered as works in progress, while other items were developed through the feedback and are new and were developed through the feedback from multiple BPS staff members, along with feedback from staff which are included and fed into the plan through the admin team. The plan is considered a living document which continues to be developed through feedback from key stakeholders. Because of this, we have already made some adjustments. For example, we're working on a plan to include veteran principals to provide a layered support for the principal. This came from feedback specifically from our last meeting here, but from multiple groups. Throughout the plan, there are short-term and long-term items. The short-term items have been identified as the main focus for the team to ensure safety measures are in place to bring back small groups of students and eventually all students. The new timeline that was proposed at the end of last week to reset allows for small group social emotional supports for students and allows this week has been allowing the group to really dig into any places where we need to continue to adjust because we're putting into practice the plan. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Principal Khalil, who will provide details on some of the short-term items that we're considering either green or really close to being green as we are operating on a red, yellow, green monitoring system. Next slide, please.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and community. I want to be clear that this is a living document, so it can be edited at any time. As we've already started to unpack the plan with staff, parents, and students, we've been taking their feedback and constantly adjusting the plan. This is most evidenced by the return to school date for our young scholars. After listening to feedback from staff, parents, students, and community partners, we felt the plan needed to be adjusted for the students to return to allow for a detailed rollout to allow to appease all stakeholder groups. The updated plan, which is posted on the school's website and our social media outlets, speaks to this new phase-in. On Monday, February 28th, all students remained on virtual instruction, and that allowed us to meet with staff in large and small groups to review plans and reset expectations. On Tuesday, March 1st, only the seniors reported to the building while the remainder of the school remained on remote instruction. On Wednesday, March 2nd, only the juniors reported to the building while the remainder of the school continued with remote instruction. And Thursday, March 3rd, only the sophomores will report, and Friday, March 4th, only the freshmen will report. The week of March 7th will follow a similar structure, with the exception of Friday, March 11th, where we expect all students to return for in-person instruction. Our community-based students have been reporting to school since Tuesday, March 1st, and will continue to report to school every day. So the slide up here you see is an overall view of our first week. We worked to identify gaps in our plans and continue to make adjustments. For example, we made adjustments to our entry timeline. We were already bringing in students into our building approximately 15 minutes early, and we extended that entry time to be as early as 7:30 for a small group of students who arrived really early to provide supervision and to bring them in out of the weather elements. Next slide, please. We feel that this is the best plan we had to ensure our new safety procedures and protocols run smoothly. And we believe we will need to keep the small groups as scheduled next week to support continued identification of gaps and develop the plan further. With this new timeline, when all students return on the 11th, our team will have been able to meet with staff regarding new safety procedures and protocols, complete with a couple of dry runs with the staff to ensure that we have a plan fully ready for students. By only bringing in one cohort of students to school every day, it also ensures that the students and staff get acclimated with the new procedures and protocols. This will allow my team to meet with the staff, students, and parents to get their feedback with our new systems while also providing positive relationship building opportunities. Now, some of the things I want to share with you of our immediate changes. Arrival and dismissal procedures. The security team and the administrative team have been strategically placed. We're also working with the Buffalo Police Department and Chief Young specifically with the SROs for arrival and dismissal. We have at least 2 SROs in the morning stationed at both sides of our school, at both corners, starting at 7:30, and they don't leave until approximately 9 a.m. And at dismissal, we have again at least 2 SROs strategically placed, both, actually it was 3 today and yesterday, both at the corners and 1 across the street. We also have a new Tardy to School initiative that will limit disruptions during class time with tardy students entering the building, and that which would further support their success. We also implemented a new pass procedure we put in place. The MAC Pass operates like a passport of sorts, so we're able to monitor students' travel. This is something we actually heard from our veteran teachers and we worked to implement. Hall and bathroom duties and external doors are now being covered at a much higher level. We've also updated our social emotional needs for our young scholars. We have a team of social workers working with our young scholars when they're in the building or on remote instruction, whether it's during their lunch period or their study hall. And we have a brand new vibe room also to help with the social emotional needs. We've revamped our faculty handbook to support the climate and structure. We have a communication plan for the entire team to ensure seamless responses to needs, meaning we assign radios to all support staff in our building so that we're able to communicate with one another seamlessly. Relationship building with MAC Pride to ensure that MAC Pride gets to an all-time high. That's most evidenced by yesterday when we had our pancake breakfast for the seniors. We called on them to be leaders of the school and to support the other grade levels. And the Moose Mac High Facebook page, which has been done tremendous things with me building relationships with my young scholars and my parents and guardians. We've also created specific and detailed protocols for substitutes when they enter the building. And we're bringing in community partners for added support. For example, the peacekeepers coming in to assist with our young scholars with safe passage. Other organizations we're working with to provide mentoring and restorative practice. Next slide, please. The support from the community and the district is greatly appreciated and allows my team to work with our staff, students, parents, and community partners to polish and revamp decisions and procedures we have in place. Here you have pictures from our senior breakfast yesterday. The goal was to engage seniors to be positive leaders for our underclassmen. And honestly, it was amazing. It felt like family. I believe these pictures capture how everyone in the building came together to support this event. Seeing the students have a good time and being back in the building, they didn't even mind reviewing the new expectations after their bellies were filled with chocolate chips and thick pancakes. So a couple of the pictures, we had Chief Young and Lieutenant Craig join us for the breakfast. We had our community-based students down at the bottom 3 pictures to the right of Chief Young. That's our community-based students who mixed all of our pancake mix together so the staff can focus on cooking them and distributing. And the kids really had a good time, as you can see from these pictures. It went way better than anybody could have expected. And it truly felt like family. It felt that family atmosphere was very positive. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you guys.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So as before, what I'll do is I'm going to go around the table. Each board member is going to understand that you're planning on making changes as necessary. Would you let us know what that time might look like for changes and for review, and also the plans you have to gather the feedback in case changes are needed?
So as of right now, any changes we're making on the fly. So anything that we see, like, because we're pressure testing this week, right? And next week, so we want to see what leaks we may have. So we are constantly changing, and we're reviewing daily. At the end of the day, my administrative team, we come together, hey, what worked, what didn't, what do we need to adjust with the plan, and we keep moving forward.
Thank you. And there's a plan in place, I would assume. No, I would love it if you would confirm it. Is there a plan in place to communicate that with all the stakeholders in the building?
Absolutely. The plan, so we had family meetings, that we have 3 parent meetings set up this week. We also have been meeting with staff during their common planning times, and my team has been able to get into classrooms this week to speak with students in small group settings.
Thank you very much. With that, I'd like to open it up to questions from my colleagues on the board, and we'll start with Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Monk. Over here. I have a couple of questions. So what percentage of our seniors return back?
Approximately a little over 53%. We had 125 seniors show up yesterday.
Okay. Was there any activities planned for the parents in conjunction with these returning of these students?
Yes, we had 3 parent conferences set up this week. One took place today virtually. Tomorrow night we have a in-person meeting from 5 to 7. And Thursday, we have another virtual meeting set up between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m.
So, do you feel realistically that parents could come to a 5 to 7 meeting and they be working? Don't most people get off around 6 or 5 and come home? I'm just trying to make sure that we accommodate the parents, because in the past it's been said that we have meetings like the school-based management meetings, and the parents can't attend because they're during the day. And do you have a parent facilitator in this building?
Okay, so to answer the last part, because that one's an easy one. A parent facilitator is Janet Lopez.
Okay, and so has she been trained?
I believe so, yes.
Is she new to the building, or has she been there?
She's been there, I believe.
Okay, and so just a general concern I have in regards to the parent facilitators or liaisons, whatever they're called now, is that ideally they don't necessarily have what I understand to be goals. I really would like to pair her or have her talk to someone who is really moving forward as a parent liaison in our district, just to get some ideas, just to maybe mentor her or whatever, because there are some people that parent liaisons or facilitators who are doing some great work in our district, and I think that we could use that. Mr. President, I would like in the near future a report on what schools have facilitators and what schools do not. Thank you. My final question is, do we have a way of allowing children to communicate without talking to adults? Typically what I'm thinking of is a suggestion box or something like that that would be looked at, because I'm wondering of the children that came, how many did not come because the mask mandate has been removed, et cetera. So do you have staff working on the other 47%?
Yes, I have my attendance teacher and social worker team and also administrative team on top of that, trying to get a hold of the kids who are not in our building. About your anonymous questions, students bringing in their concerns, we started a MAC message box, which we shared with staff and parents last week. We started it really this Monday. It's put in front of the main office. We told the kids, anybody, and staff and parents as well, anybody who has a concern can put it in the box. You want to shout out somebody for doing something good, do that. And we also recently, because we want to acknowledge all of the heroes on that day of February 9th, we've asked all staff to, if you saw anybody that needs to be recognized, please do that. And we've already had people turn in stuff into our message box.
Okay, and my final question is, has there been an increase of parents who have requested to move their children out of McKinley?
So the initial request was 4 that wanted transfers when this first happened. Then it went up to 8 total, and I have not received any more word about parent and guardians requesting transfers from McKinley High School.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Exner, our Vice President of Student Achievement.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and Chair. Thank you. Just looking at the plan, it looks like a well thought out, thorough plan with strategic, guidance, including protocols of interventions. You noted that the peacemakers are involved, the MVP, LPP, community programs such as that are important to be in our schools. It also seems that you have a high percentage of support of the plan, from staff, including educators. That's a good thing. I'm just looking forward to a continued great plan and success at McKinley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. So I'd like to move over to Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Dr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions. My first question surrounds the role of the Buffalo Police Department within the schools and at McKinley High School. I know you said you have some of my good friends, Chief Young and Chief Craig, that's working there in their program. But what other things are instituted with cooperation with the Buffalo Public Schools to work with policing that area? And I'm not just concerned with McKinley, I'm concerned with all our schools. But starting here with McKinley, what's the action plan in case something happens, in case an incident occurs? We know that what happened at McKinley was something that nobody wanted to happen. But some people say they anticipated something like this happening because of the culture of violence that occurred at school, the number of fights they had that prior week at the school. So I'd like to know what's being done to change the culture at McKinley, and what's our cooperation with the Buffalo Police Department and an action plan?
So regarding the police presence, like what's being done with the Buffalo Police Department and McKinley High School, from now on, anytime anything happens in the building, any kind of physical altercation or heated verbal altercation, I am to notify Chief Young, Lieutenant Craig, Dr. Wright, and Dr. Wilson immediately. Immediately, and they're in the loop so that they know what's going on. Chief Young gave me his phone number, so anytime I need anything from him, we're in constant communication. I can give him a call. If I need more presence in the building, he told me to give me a call anytime, and I know I can have him at any moment.
And I know this district has began a number of years ago with restorative circles, restorative practice. What type of those elements are added right now to our children to try to resolve some of the issues, some of the conflicts that they have inside the building before it goes outside the building?
We've instituted, before I came in, the vibe room with our social emotional supports. It's a de-escalating way of getting kids to calm themselves down. It's a 2-step process where first they come into the room, they meet with the social worker, they might get fed, they might just try and calm them down a little bit. The second step of the process, they literally enter a room that's under like a blue light and lit up, and they're able to sit down, listen to music that's provided by the social worker to help them calm themselves down. We're also running restorative circles in our homeroom every morning for the first 20 minutes of the day. to make sure to check in with the kiddos. And anytime we have conflict, we are using restorative practices before we issue any kind of consequence.
Thank you. Another question I have is, I know that you had a press conference and you had some children on the stage speaking with Dr. Cash about the climate, how they feel, about coming back to school and how they feel safe. Those are great questions, but I would like to see a program that involves student voice at that school, enhanced one, so that it can be a meeting among the students that they can actually give their opinion about things that's going on that they currently in their lives or at school. Because the biggest part is listening to the students and understanding their concerns and things that they deal with in the community and schools with one another. So we would like to see that placed into a plan. And one of the programs that I'm big on is breaking barriers. And I know they work at school on Tuesdays.
We have breaking barriers.
Yes, and second, the last is, I know that Canisius Talent Search reached out to you about that program. I'd like to see that program reactivated within the school, and I know that Canisius College and that program was pre-existing in the school until COVID came, and I believe now it should be clear to reactivate that program and work with the children.
Absolutely.
And other programs in Dyke College. So just to make sure those two programs are reactivated and put the children in their lives.
Absolutely. I will be reaching out to Canisius College later this week to discuss that plan. Regarding student voice, we'll institute student government as well so that they're able to get their voices heard. And this week we've been able to go into classrooms and actually ask the students how they feel about the return. What do they want to see? How do they feel about the plan? So we're constantly receiving feedback from them because we know if we get the kids who are in the building these next 2 weeks to buy in, it will help the kids who didn't come in to come into the building starting March 11th because they see the climate change, the culture change. What I saw yesterday and today, I saw excitement from the kids. They got new rules, some of which they didn't like to hear, but it seemed like, okay, like we're moving forward. It's almost like they wanted the structure. They're like, these systems are like, this is what we want. And so we're constantly taking their feedback and using it to improve our school.
Thank you, Mr. Clear.
Thank you very much. I turn now to Board Member Ms. Turner.
Thank you. I have just two questions. The first one is with respect to the staff in the building. I know that there's a lot of turnover, there's a lot of new people, new faces, and I'm just wondering, what are you thinking about doing with respect to training your staff? I think that there's a lot of importance to staff getting regular training on a lot of the issues that are facing the students, not just in McKinley, but across our district. And have you had any time to think about what sort of training that you want to provide to your staff?
I'm always thinking about training, to be honest. It's just not at my forefront right now because of the systems and protocols that I need to put in place. As an instructional leader, I have definite plans to work with my staff on providing professional development during common planning time to move forward with instruction.
Well, I'm not just talking about instruction. I'm talking about the trauma-informed care and working with this population, and these children have been traumatized. The staff have been traumatized.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's really important that we think about how we're going to support the staff and teach the staff how not only what is
Maybe just stop the procedures for a second here.
Yeah, he said he was okay.
But I apologize. I'm just thinking about, how to support our staff as they're trying to support our students.
We have a de-escalation plan in place in our long-term plan. Short-term, we've had the crisis team in our building for the past couple of weeks, barring the vacation. And they've continued to be in our building this week that are available to staff, that we've opened up, and we've told staff if you need to use them, let us know and we'll provide coverage whether you have a class or not. With the kiddos we're doing, our young scholars, we're doing small restorative circles and just working with them to find out how they're feeling and how we can deal with this trauma moving forward.
My second question is,
I was just going to add a little bit to that. Along with the crisis team, the thing that they've been doing, aside from supporting everyone dealing with this crisis, is giving out resources for teachers to use in classrooms to help with when a student is in crisis and needs support. So they were out patrolling the halls yesterday. They had adopted one of our students and had him kind of pitching, the resources that they had to everyone so that people would, take them and use them in class. So resources are being offered also.
And my second question is with respect to the plan. I'm looking here at page 5. At the top it says that some of these have been identified as priorities. And I'm just curious because there's a lot of things that are listed here. And it's hard to tell from the bullet points whether or not those things have actually been instituted, whether these are sort of a wish list, where are we with respect to these priorities?
Okay, sorry. Okay, so you want to know what's green, yellow, red on this list?
Yeah, because if you're listing these as priorities, yes, and I also we need to be updated, right?
Yep.
Okay.
The first bullet, full security, do you want me to read the bullet or just tell you bullet 1, green, red, yellow?
Well, I think
Read them for the public.
That's fine. The first bullet is the full security team was needed the week of February 14th to check lockers and support stakeholder meetings. That took place. I had security search all lockers for any weapons and even laptops so that we can get them put in the main office for central pickup. No weapons were found, but we have cleared all locker rooms. Parent engagement liaison, be on site to support students Monday, February 28th. Ms. Lopez did not come in the 28th just because we did not have students. She's awaiting a laptop, but she plans, I believe, on coming in either Thursday or Friday, but I'm in constant communication with her. A recent typist vacancy must be filled to ensure the main office is staffed with 3 individuals. Right now we have a temp placed there. Purchased 20 high-tech communication radios and rapid flow weapons detection systems. We did get the radios, we actually got 30 of them, and the rapid flow detection systems, I believe, was ordered.
Yes, that's right. No.
Was not ordered yet. 2 school resource officers coverage during arrival and dismissal. The time from 7:45 to 9 a.m. and 3:15 to 4:15 p.m. Recommended location on school grounds, visible by foot. This has been occurring. Alarm doors for external entrances and exits. Prioritize frequently used entrances and exits. We put in that request. It is, it's with the high security system that those 2 orders go together. Repair and update cameras, that's more yellow. That's being worked on. I know a couple of cameras were fixed last week according to Chief. Staff 5 consistent security officers daily. That was promised to us by Dr. Cash and Mr. Wagstaff, and that's great. We haven't had a day without 5 security officers. Address any door locks throughout the door that are in need of repairs. That is yellow. We are in the process of finalizing that. Cleaning and occurring throughout the day. This includes removing writing on the walls. I believe that's great. Our cleaning crew is on top of it. Identify the top 10 students needing the support of an alternative program with a focus on supporting up to 50 students eventually. Remote instruction for the rest of this school year and programming assignment 22-23. We've identified 20 students, so that's and forwarded to the Office of Student Support, so that is also great. And the boarded up window in front of the school was repaired on Monday, February 14th. So we have a fully glass entrance now, so it doesn't look boarded up anymore.
Thank you. I just, for the things that are still in progress, I think the board would like to be appraised of when they are actually happening.
Absolutely.
With the rapid flow metal detectors, I wanted to just inform the board, tonight you have a resolution before you. Part of that is the consultation with a security firm who will make recommendations to us. We're going to bring them in and have objective, sources from the field come in and inform us what equipment would be best for a school facility like McKinley and others before we procure that equipment. We feel that's the best process to utilize at this point. Instead of just buying what, the first thing that's there. We want to make sure it's compatible with the building, that it's going to work efficiently and effectively, and we're going to wait on their recommendation before we do that.
Thank you. So hello. And I know you're under a lot of pressure and a lot of eyes on you, so I commend and appreciate everything that you've been doing. So thank you. I do have a couple questions. One, the 5 security detail that's in place, is that temporary or permanent?
I believe that's permanent.
And also, that actually ties into a different question. I'm very curious about this handbook, this communication plan that you have. I'd like to just, it's not like I want to see it or critique it, but I want to make sure, and this is for this entire deal, is that we can't just say we're resetting McKinley and we're looking into everything any other place. I would like to make sure that when you're saying you're revamping your faculty handbook, that's something that all other principals are being asked to do at the same time. You know what I mean? Everybody looking into the same thing, because right now, all eyes may be on you, but you also can model in the best of ways where we can be going in the future, right? What is available for us in the future. Best practices, you have some unique things here, your Facebook page and things like that, like what can we do, how you talk to students, how the students give feedback. I feel like that, all of these things that you're mentioning, I just want to say as a board member and students and, in all levels of this district, I'd like to see how that translates to other buildings and how this is being done amongst the ASRs to make sure everybody is on the same page.
Yeah, I read it.
And when I see, your protocols for substitutes, again, this is like for obviously Mac High, but also for everyone else, is making sure, yes, the substitutes are briefed on what they're doing, but making sure that they're also supported, because they're walking into an environment that a lot of times, and we all know this, due to shortage, the substitutes aren't even aware of what was being taught before. It's like very, you're called to come in and do something that may not be in your wheelhouse because your body couldn't be there. So I believe that it's further down here, but that's absolutely something, unless it wasn't, in your protocol list. Like I saw that as something I would love to see how that works out, where the substitutes are concerned, because we know that teacher shortage and what's happening with teachers is intense too, and a big part of where we're going with this. Where your security is concerned, where you do 3:15 to 4:15, does that cover any programs that might be after 4:15? Anything that happens afterwards, like what do we have? That's the SROs, because you're a 5-person security detail, hang out a little longer for maybe students that aren't leaving, that are leaving past that, or is there anything scheduled past that time?
So we have multiple programs running daily, Monday through Thursday, and we have a security member that is on up until the programs end. So whether it's 5:30 or 8 o'clock with MBK, we have a member of security on the school grounds at all times.
I mean, I just, like some folks have already said, it seems very intense. The way that you prioritize, your color coding and the whole nine, like these are all, if they're not unique, we haven't heard anything like this happening in other buildings consistently. So I'm really looking to see not only the gains being made by all the efforts put in place, but also that it's communicated to everyone. And when it comes to the training, I'm with my colleague here that the training shouldn't just be how we deal with technology or how we deal with the here and now as far as like your subjects and your curriculum. It definitely needs to have those focuses where you're looking into everything with that lens, with that trauma-informed care lens, with the equity lens, with the racial justice lens, and then how the work is done, right? And that's just the time of it. So I'm really looking to you all, as much as I say I appreciate what you're doing, I'm looking to you all to kind of lead how this could look for the district, because all eyes are on you, and you know how we can support you in any way. I would appreciate you letting us know.
Absolutely, thank you.
So, and I'm passing it to Mr. Scott.
We'll move to Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Ms. Nkosi and Dr. Rivera. So similar to what Dr. Evans-Brown indicated, the plan is very thorough. I think it provides much of the operational details that we had discussed in our last board meeting, and you've shared some more specific details today. A few questions, and Ms. J asked one big question, but to follow up on that question, I think you mentioned in the press conference the other day that you will be, or we will have security wanding every single student that enters the building.
Yes.
And I just want to know, is that feasible on March 11th when all grades return in person?
So as of right now, we're currently pressure testing it, right? We moved the security table further back into the building to allow more students to come in. We have 2 main entrance doors to the left of the main office that leads to the auditorium, and we've now separated the security teams, so it's not just one table wanding and searching bags. We now have 2 tables wanding and searching bags. And until we get to March 11th, we're not really going to know how much time it's going to take. As of right now, after speaking with security the past 2 days, they love the new system. They love the 2 tables, and it's working. We're getting kids moving in faster. With over 1,000 kids or just under 1,000 kids, it won't be as fast, but it's what we need to do at the current time, instead of randomly searching bags or searching everybody's bags. So we're going to test it out and see if we need to have more security in the morning to help wand and search bags, or whenever this system comes in, hopefully can eliminate our timeline.
Along those lines, is there anything that you feel absolutely needs to be green come day one when every grade level is returning? For us to ensure safety, and without it being green, we're setting ourselves up for another dangerous situation.
Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I feel like we have our systems in place. Now it's about executing our procedures and protocols. I'm really trying to think of something that's red.
So I think we have the right systems in place, as Principal Khalil said. It's about pressure testing them, It's about pressure testing them and looking for any gaps, looking at things that we have to streamline a little bit better. As we work through it yesterday and today, we've identified little things. We're like, okay, if we tweak this, this will help in this area. So we're continuing to do that. That's why these small groups are really helpful. Not only does it help us really get to those students and give them the attention they need and the teachers and what they need, but then it also gives us that time to tweak, continue to look at what we have that's already green and make sure that it is dark green and then just ready to go with all of the students.
And Ms. Wilson, I think this question is for you. I'm assuming that some of these priorities exist in some of our other buildings. What are we doing to assess those issues and address them, just like we're doing it?
So we definitely are using this plan to springboard support for other schools across the district. We've been working with principals through our PAC team, which is a group of principals that come together to share the thoughts and ideas or concerns across the district from principals, both at the secondary and at the elementary. And they bring in what the group is really wanting us to focus on. And there are some elements in here that we feel like once we have really gotten them to a good place through the tweaking, they would be good things to roll out. Like, for example, the opportunity around virtual instruction possibility for a small group of students, along with we can't do that without the social emotional supports in place. So this model has all of that in place. We still need to tweak it, but we want to be able to use that to support what's going on in other schools. That's one example, but there are others that we are working on, and we continue to hear from them under the leadership of Dr. White. She's very good at making sure that we get all of the elements that we need from them to push forward to make sure that they are comfortable with what's going on in their schools.
And my last question might be the toughest. When I read through the plan, I wondered about the closeness of teachers being involved in establishing it and being able to implement it. We just received a survey from BTF, indicates that a majority of teachers that have responded to that survey support the reopening plan, but then a majority felt like they weren't meaningfully involved in the development of it. So what has been done to involve teachers in the plan development, and what will be done to hear their voice, authentically include them in conversations to tweak this plan and build trust, because we know that if there is a distrust, even if they believe it's the right plan, it's going to impact implementation.
So as Principal Khalil mentioned earlier, they have a departmentalized model at McKinley, so they're broken into departments. So it was a rollout of the plan. Now the plan itself, the baseline of the plan, there was feedback that was given through the admin team because they work very closely with those departments. The overall focus of making sure that voices continue to be lifted in this plan of the teachers will happen in those department meetings. So that's part of the work that we're doing this week also. We continue to get these elements, we continue to get feedbacks. For example, one staff member talked about individual ID badges that we can make for new teacher aides, that since we have the print shop, could we expand and make our own so that they have something that makes, so that when they're addressing people in the building, they know they're a staff member. That came from just getting that feedback from different staff members. The MacPass was the voice, that came directly from the voice of teachers. And then when it was rolled back out, the site-based management team was ecstatic to hear about that change of the pass system. So those are some examples. It will have to be continuous. Given where we are with McKinley, we needed to go ahead and take what we had and put it in place. But we really wanted to make sure it was clear, and we want to say repeatedly, it's a living plan. We want to make sure we continue to collect those voices.
Thank you.
Just to add on that, you can't have two. That all staff want to just be heard, and not just be heard, but want to see those changes. So what Ms. Wilson said, like about the pass system, they suggested something, we listened, we implemented. And that's helped out tremendously with buy-in, because they don't want to just be heard like I'm just listening and just going to do my own thing still, that we're actually implementing what they have to say. And if we can't implement it, I try to be as transparent as possible of why we can't implement something, and we'll look forward to implementing that change next year.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to turn to Ms. Woods for her questions.
Well, I agree with the other board members who said we've got a lot of excellent ideas and revisions in here. I wanted to know about the security guards, since the incident happened after school time, and it says they're going to be here for 4:15. So
The SROs, yes.
the SROs.
Yes.
And how many SROs are you saying is going to be here for the
A minimum of two. A minimum of two. So they're placed on both sides of the building. Today and yesterday, they actually sent 3. There was a 3rd across the street and today there was a few more SROs.
So
Okay,
the
that's
SROs,
a concern.
security and SRO. So
Sorry.
I think, so we're at, that those are the school resource officers, those are police officers. And you are asking specifically about security guards? Am I
I'm
correct?
asking about security and SROs
Okay.
on staff after school times, because the incident happened after dismissal time. The supports that you list that Dr. Reynolds is engaging a team to work with several community organizations and give the restorative circles and social emotional supports, and you list them. But can you give just a little bit more information of what are they doing and when are they doing it? Because that is a very important, critical part of working with students and diffusing some of these situations.
Sure. I'm going to bring Dr. Reynolds down to speak to this specifically, because we've been working with her throughout this process.
And so we are,
as you all are aware, the board approved the proposal, was that last week or the 16th of February? And we've been working in partnership with the community-based organizations listed, including MVP, Back to Basics, GYC Ministries, Mad Dads. We've conducted a few meetings. The initial meeting was recommended by Principal Moose. And so we put in our community partners, because what we understand is that in order for what you see on paper to be successful, we must successfully operationalize the proposal. And we also know that it is critical that we establish and we build the rapport and we get the buy-in of the McKinley family. And so we've met, we put in some of the key stakeholders, including the security officers of McKinley High School, Pastor Giles and a few of his leaders who will be working alongside the McKinley team, members of Mad Dads, members of MVP, members of Peacemakers. This was a circle. It was a circle that, although we didn't formally develop the agenda, it organically evolved into a very beneficial first engagement. So we had a chance to really get out on the table any concerns. You know, we're putting the plan together, we're putting it together quickly, so we were able to articulate some of the initial concerns that we had. And by talking through it, we collectively decided that we would conduct the walkthrough of McKinley High School, that we would quickly, yet carefully, establish a plan in which the partners will have an opportunity to meet with the entire McKinley community. We are setting up, and so what I'm discussing right now, we're in the process of doing these things while continuing to plan. So they are going to be meeting with the entire McKinley family so that we can explain to them specifically the role of all of the partners. We are providing, we meaning the Buffalo Public Schools, are providing the partners with training, including restorative circles, because they'll be conducting those with families as well as with students. Effective engagement of staff, partners, families, and students. These are outsiders coming into the building. Some of the students they know, some they don't. Some of the faculty members they know, some they don't. So we want to make sure we're setting up the program for success before we begin. Each building is different, each student is different, and so we want to make sure that we are providing them with as much information as possible so that they are effectively and appropriately engaging our staff and our students and our families.
I asked that question specifically because there are cultural differences in the students in McKinley. The incident happened because of cultural differences, and I wanted to know specifically and see that we are addressing cultural relevancy training so that different groups can respect each other's different belief systems, cultures, and not get into violent clashes.
Absolutely, and so we will be working in partnership with Dr. Morell's department. And it's funny because Dr. Wright and I met with the community partners today along with Chief Young, Lieutenant Craig, and so we realized that it is absolutely important that they receive training on how to engage our students from different cultures. We'll be working also in partnership with the Multilingual Education Department. And this recommendation actually was raised by Lieutenant Craig today because she realizes in her close connection and work with Lafayette Community School that Principal Starkey has a very close connection with the Burmese community. And so that is one of the identified groups. I know we're talking about McKinley, but we were in conversation with the principal of IPRA. And so we'll reach out to the Burmese community because our Back to Basics partners are looking to hire Burmese trainers. We're looking to bring on additional Spanish trainers as well. So so we're in the midst of some extremely fruitful planning and training with the partners.
Okay, the things that are very outstanding in here about the 50 students being identified, because it is not all of our students or the majority of our students that are causing conflicts. There's a certain small percentage of students who need trauma care. They're problem students. And you're saying you're going to give them remote learning and give them the trauma-intensive care that these problem students need, and that will stabilize your great community. So I think that is an absolutely excellent part of your plan. My question about if an incident does happen, have you implemented or included that we have a mobile unit that the SROs have and the security people have that could have came when the students say that you're monitoring the Facebook and the online, and they could have came and got students safely away. So I think that might be part of your answer if an incident happens. Use the mobile unit and have it as a response so those children don't go out to confrontation with the two groups are separated.
So actually, and we did have that kind of a response. We have a team like that. Dr. Wright is going to come down to the mic. I'm sorry, I thought you were coming down.
Good evening, everyone. Board Member Woods? Yes. So I can't say enough about our SROs. So they come, so they've made themselves completely available to our high incidence and intensive schools. And sometimes even today, when there's a student or students who really need to get home because being home is safest for them and for the student body, our SROs do come and they do pick them up and they are able to take them home. I have to say that we've also been able to partner with our own transportation department. So if we call Cheryl Kennedy and say, hey, we've got a kid that needs a ride home, the parent can't come, we're understanding about that, and she has sent a school bus to a location so that we can get a child home, because sometimes them staying in the building simply agitates the situation, and it's just best for everyone involved that the children are able to be delivered home safely to a loving adult. So yes, short answer is yes.
And in the students that you're identifying, if there is a problem in the community and some kind of gang warfare or whatever it is, rather than having that come into our schools, if you can identify it and put that child on remote learning, their own safety and the school safety, that is something I think, and that's what I assume you're putting the remote learning for.
Yes, we do. We call that our response to level 5 incidences. So typically we only go 1, 2, 3, 4. But when a child goes to level 5, that child needs to be placed on remote learning for such a time that they are safe to return to the school learning environment.
And given the supports that they need to resolve the situation.
That's right, yes.
Okay, that's good, because the problem is everything in the community walks into schools, and we've got to have an answer to protect the child and to keep some of this trauma out of the school.
Yes, it takes a whole community.
So the only last thing I wanted to say to you, if any of these repairs on buildings, anything on the equipment is lagging or slow, please let the board know, because teachers have been saying they need the doors and the dings on the doors. They need these changes, including the staff person that's in their office.
I want to give a shout out to the plants department. They've been highly responsive. They've been delivered an itemized list of things that need to be repaired, and they've gotten out there and they've taken care of the vast majority of things. So I just want to give a shout out to them.
That's my last question.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Rivera. Thank you very much for being here and presenting the plan today. I do have a few questions. So as we know, many of our problems that roll up throughout, not just at McKinney, but throughout the district, have their start in social media. So I just want to make sure that you guys have a very robust social media protocol and that students are aware of it, and if they do have any concerns, how they can bring it to your attention and what the response from McKinney will be.
So I just shared with the kids today and yesterday about the cell phone policy. You know, we can't be on our phones throughout the school day. And they had a little bit of a gripe with it. You know, like, why? What about their phones? You know, well, you can't guarantee me that you're not posting on social media and making fun of anybody or posting pictures of anybody. So they actually understood why that cell phone policy is put in place. It's really to protect all of us. Regarding social media, I had the team is willing to hear anything from any of the kids. They show us screenshots, we act on it immediately. So we're not actively looking at their Facebook pages because we don't have that kind of resource. That would be great to have that monitored. But for the time being, in my experience in education, the kids come up to me with the posts from whatever social media outlet they're on, screenshot it, and they show it to administration and react on it immediately. But, and the Mooseback page, literally, I from my time at East, not so much now, because we haven't had the full building, but people have reached out to me with concerns. Actually, we had not an incident, but a student reached out to me from McKinley High School. They had an issue with another student, 2 seniors. We've never even met. I met her for the first time yesterday, brought her in and the other student along with Chief Young and Lieutenant Craig to hold restorative circles so that we can solve the issue. So they know they can reach out to me as well over the Mooseback hot page as well.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear. The other thing that I want to bring up, there's been a lot of discussion tonight about the community input from all of our stakeholders at McKinley. So going forward, somebody other than a teacher or staff, or maybe it's a food service worker, it's a custodian, it's someone that works in the office that had either concern or suggestion for improvement or to address a particular area. Are they well aware of how they would bring it to your attention, and would that be considered as part of the plan going forward?
Yeah, we want all feedback. So when we say staff, we don't just mean teachers, teacher assistants, and aides. We mean all staff in the building, clerical, maintenance, cafeteria staff. It was just brought to my attention yesterday that our cafeteria manager is not on our email list. So when we email out the school, she's like, I don't know what was sent. So I had her added to the email list immediately, along with all of our maintenance workers as well, so that they know what we're communicating out. And if they ever have anything that they want to reach out to any of the administrators, they have our numbers and their emails to reach out to us or pull us aside.
No, that's great to hear, because they all play a vital role, and they all see things from a different perspective, I should say. Lastly, or next, 2 questions. I know that there's been an increase in security, but I'm more concerned not just so much about the numbers, but how they're being deployed and what they're doing in while on McKinley's campus. So I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit to what the security guards are doing while they're there.
So the security team is strategically placed on each floor, 2 on the first floor and then 1 on each floor after that. And their whole thing is, I told them they need to be visible. So they are constantly walking around our halls because I think visibility will cut down on a lot of our issues. So they're strategically placed. We've worked with them on their breaks and their lunches, so we have coverage provided. If there's a hole, one of us will fill in from the administrative team, but they are to be visible at all times.
And to add to that, they do regular perimeter checks of the campus. They have a rotation set up so that they take turns making sure that they check the really close to the building perimeter and then a little further out with all the bushes and everything. That's really important to do also throughout the day. So they also have that duty.
That's good to hear, considering, in light of the last incident, because it was on the campus, not necessarily in the building. And it's not unique to McKinney. We've had a variety of different incidents that have occurred. Sometimes they're on the campus, sometimes they're in a business or a location or a park adjacent to the campus, or where buses meet, where our children transit. So there's that progression. Just want to make sure we're putting proper people in place to prevent anything from happening. My last question for this evening is, I know that we stated that this plan would be flexible and that we were going to reevaluate it this Friday. Is that still the plan about, and whether that students were going to return to in-person learning or when they would return to in-person learning?
So as we identify gaps, we were looking at could we reassess this Friday. Right now, we're looking at continuing with the plan as is. Because of some of the pressure testing that needs to continue to happen, we want to wait till Friday to confirm it completely, but the recommendation is heading in that direction because each day we find little things that we need to tweak, and we want to then pressure test them and see what else we need to be focusing on. So right now, it's looking like it's heading in the direction of the plan remaining in the small groups until the 11th when all would return.
Yes.
So just to bounce off of that, with some of the small groups, I met with the students today, asking them about how they felt about this possible 2-week and not returning until March 11th. And I heard nothing from them saying, no, we want to be in here earlier. They're all like, okay, we understand why you guys are doing this. Just don't make it the rest of the year. And I was like, we're not doing it for the rest of the year. We hope to have you guys all back by the 11th. But we just want to make sure we pressure test and cover the leaks that we can see now with the small numbers. And we don't want to tell them they're coming back on Monday and then come back with a change. So I told them we will let them know on Friday, because they're also a little tired of changes to the schedule.
Thank you very much. That concludes my question, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. So as is our procedure, we can do when we follow questions of areas about the climate plan that have not already been covered. This time what I'd like you to do is just give me a signal if you're interested in one, please. I know Mr. Hurd has one. Anyone else? Wonderful. I will turn it to Mr. Hurd and then we'll conclude this motion.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say that back when we were, when I was working for education at high school, what we used to do is when kids came to school late, we would take them and put them in the ice room, or they put them in the auditorium until the next period started. I'd like to know what's your procedure with that, first of all. And secondly, when we, after school, we used to try to work the kids onto the special buses. We call them the special buses because they lined up in front of the school, the kids got up and went home, and it was a direct line for them to go home without all stops. Those are the better buses. But what I learned, because we kept on trying to get kids to force them to get on the buses, a lot of them purposely didn't get on the bus. And the reason why, I already know this, was because they felt that they would be in danger of special buses, they would be bullied, they would be ridiculed, and they'd rather wait for those children that got on those buses to leave first, so that they could get on the regular buses with their friends without having to be harassed when they got away. So that's one of the lessons that I learned from teaching, was that when a child, there's a reason why a child won't ride the bus with other kids, or there's a reason why they come to school late, because the special buses also bring them to school. So I don't want to see those children be penalized, but to actually stop and listen, or try to talk to them, or a teacher to have a relationship with, to talk to those students, to build that relationship and understand why they want to stay after school late and not ride the bus with other children. Just to ensure their safety.
Okay, so jumping in on the tardy to school, the auditorium use, as you can see that there's something written in similar to that. The way this plan is different is that work is going to be provided in the auditorium for the students so that they're connecting with work. What we found is that when students were coming in late, they were creating a major disruption to the classes that were in session at the time, or they weren't necessarily being as honest as they needed to be and making it to where they need to go as fast as possible. So we wanted to limit that, make sure we got them to a place where we could get them instruction, but also use that data to drive the social emotional needs. So looking at that data, the students who have to access the tardy room from period 1 or period 2 over a period of time will help us identify students who might need something more. And we'll have responsive staff in the auditorium to greet those students and maybe even engage in a conversation of what's going on while we're late. We were just talking through the transportation piece a little bit yesterday. You want to share what we were discussing? Or students who, you repeat your question about transportation? Students who don't get on the bus because?
Because they fear that they might be harassed, bullied, or all the above. So if you do it purposely, stay after school, let the buses leave before they come outside, so they remain in the building. And they have a group of friends opportunities, they stay with during that time period, and they don't leave to go catch the bus at a later time, just so that they ensure they have to ride with a group of kids that may be, exhibit those type of that mentality.
So in reference to McKinley, there was something we were addressing right after dismissal, students who would be out in front of the school for a period of time and not get on the bus. And how do we help them get onto their buses? Those are NFTA buses though. With the students who might be in that category of feeling uncomfortable about getting on the bus, first, we're working to clear the building, so we have administrators and security officers strategically shifting through the building to clear each floor, and we're dismissing by floor. And as they're dismissing by floor, any students who are hanging behind, they're directed to go meet with a teacher. If that's not the case, then that will signal, okay, there's something else going on here. So those are administrators and security officers who are, it's mostly administrators though, who are clearing the floor. So to help with this identification of students who might be struggling with that kind of an issue.
But that doesn't mean we still won't be talking to the kids, because honestly, I never thought about asking the kids outside when I was outside with them why you didn't get on the special, and they'd get on the normal bus, the public transportation, the non-special. I never thought of asking them. So you bringing up that point, okay, we'll start having those discussions with the kids of why you didn't hop on the special for whatever reason that is. And also with the late to school plan as well, I also shared with the teachers that if they want their kids into the room, that they can let us know, because not all teachers are like that, right? There are some that come, if they come a few minutes late, let them in the room. So teachers have reached out to us about, hey, can we get the kids escorted up to the room, and we're willing to work with the staff with that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation as well as your thorough answers to our questions. We appreciate it. So for now, we're going to turn to the next item on our agenda.
Thank you, Vice President Rivera. At this point, we're going to the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Excuse me? Yes, that's going to be my first order of business. All right, thank you very much. So this comes to the resolution portion of our agenda, and I'm going to start it off, but I'm going to let Dr. Catherine just read the body read the sponsored by. We'll just let our president leave at the microphone set up. Thank you very much. So, resolution to establish an expert examination into the February 9, 2022 incident at McKinley High School. February 20, 2022, sponsored by the entire board. There is the original sponsor that says the entire board would like to be added. So it is a unanimously sponsored resolution. At this point, I'm going to ask our Executive Vice President, Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown, to read the body of the resolutions. Dr. Brown.
Okay, so the following resolution. Whereas, based upon the initial review of the tragic circumstances surrounding the February 9th, 2022 incident at the district's McKinley High School, it has become evident that a further detailed and expert examination of all facts and circumstances surrounding that incident, the security of that facility, as well as the security of the facilities for which this board is responsible district-wide, is necessary. And whereas, given both the institutional and legal significance of such an examination, it should be undertaken under the supervision of the district's general counsel in consultation with the board's special counsel. Now therefore, be it resolved that the district's general counsel, in consultation with this board's special counsel, retain the professional services of an independent security consultant contractor to conduct the foregoing examination with a view toward providing this board with a timely report or reports, as the case may be, together with related recommendations.
Thank you very much for reading that into the record. Before I open up for questions, I just want to make a general comment that the situation at McKinley has evolved from the initial incident. And while we did ask the district to take a look into it, an audit, an examination, however we wish to phrase it, we believe that at this time, that it would be best served for everyone, that if we had an outside independent security consultant come in and take a look at McKinley and all the circumstances surrounding that. So at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions. And starting with Dr. Amber.
I don't have
Okay, there we go. I don't have a question, I really have a comment to follow up to the comment that made at February 16th meeting. It's really, I firmly believe, how that to best serve our community, we need this kind of understanding of all the facts, all the circumstances around what happened at McKinley, so we can move forward, we can use it, and we have a clearer picture of what has happened. Review and evaluation is critical. And so as a result, I'm a very proud sponsor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rivera. Are there any other questions or comments? No. Hearing none, I'd like to call for a vote. Mr. Kuzma, can you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Mr. President. How do you vote on the resolution as spelled in comment?
Yes.
Dr. Evans-Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Yes.
And President Petrucci?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution passes.
Thank you very much, fellow board members. I look forward to the report that this study is going to generate. I'm sure all of you do as well. So we come to the finance and operations portion of the evening. I know that there's been some discussion that we may wish to reschedule this because we need to go into an executive session, so I just want to ask what the role of the board is. I know that Ms. Woods was gracious enough to volunteer to postpone her presentation with the understanding that specific questions can be asked of Mr. Pritchard. So if the board is comfortable with us moving forward, postponing this so that we can go into executive session, otherwise we're going to executive session after finance and ops. What's the will of the board? Do you wish to postpone finance and ops? Signify by saying yea.
Yay.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So, that being heard, we're going to postpone finance and operations. Thank you. So at this time, may I have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice and for the purpose of discussing the employment history of a specific district employee?
So moved.
So moved by Sharon Belcott, second. Jennifer and Paul, were a tie. So all those in favor, raise your hands. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? So at this point, the board will be going into executive session. Thank you very much. for the purpose of a specific district employee. Thank you very much. So at this time, I have a motion I'd like to introduce to the floor. City School District of the City of Buffalo, Board of Education resolution regarding the resignation of Dr. Kreiner Cash. Be it resolved that pursuant to Education Law, Section 2554, the resignation of Dr. Kreiner Cash from all appointments to employment by this district will be accepted pursuant to the terms of an agreement previously executed by Dr. Cash, which the President of this board is hereby authorized, directed to execute on behalf of the district, and that Dr. Tanja Williams will be and is appointed as the district's interim superintendent to serve until such time as his successor to the office is appointed pursuant to an agreement previously executed by Dr. Williams, which the board president is authorized and directed to execute on behalf of the district. Having introduced the resolution, is there any discussion? Hearing none, do I have can I have the resolution moved and seconded?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Collins, seconded by Larry and Poland. Having no discussion and having it so put forth for a vote, Nate, can you conduct the roll call vote, please?
Absolutely, Board President. How do you vote on the resolution, Ms. Belden-Codman?
Yes.
Dr. Evans-Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Certainly. Yes.
Yes. And Board President Petrucci?
Yes.
Resolution unanimously passes. Congratulations, Superintendent Williams.
Yeah, so.
Oh, you have some comments.
Can I just make a couple comments and we'll do some pictures with our interim superintendent? So I just want to say that both of our fathers worked at Bethel Steel. Her mother and my grandfather worked at the post office on William. That we have many connections in addition to being graduates from the BPS ourselves. But more importantly, we as a district are pleased that we have Dr. Williams on board. Dr. Williams is an experienced educator who has served the district for over 30 years. She holds a master's in education and a doctorate in education and educational counseling and executive leadership, and has served as a supervisor, director, principal, assistant superintendent, and associate superintendent with the Buffalo Public Schools. During her time with our district, she has won several grants to support students and has consistently been recognized for her academic leadership and community excellence. The Buffalo Board of Education looks forward to working with Dr. Williams in her capacity as interim superintendent and continue to create support and guaranteed pathways to opportunity that will lead to achievement and success for all of our Buffalo Public School students. At this time, Dr. Williams, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Over to the microphone.
Lou, can you switch?
We can move it to whatever is easiest. I want to be able to hear you. Thank you.
I will be inspired. What a proud moment. Good evening. Good evening to all of the Buffalo Public School students, the families, the board members, my mom, who I know is watching on TV. This is huge. I want to thank every single board member that is here for having, having the trust, the belief, and the faith in my leadership to lead this district at this time. I am super excited. I will work extremely hard. I need to thank one of my colleagues, Dr. Cassandra Wright, who was the acting superintendent. She was the acting superintendent over this last week and a half, and she did a magnificent job. I want to thank the cabinet who all stayed while everyone was meeting in executive session. I am looking forward to leading this team of experienced administrators. I had written a speech, but I thought I'm just going to really speak from the heart tonight. I am a native Buffalonian. I was born in Buffalo. I was raised on the east side. My parents met at East High School. All right, I graduated from Riverside. I attended West Hurdle. I attended school number 90, so I am through and through a Buffalonian. I know the children. I know the parents. I know this community. And I know that for the past 5 or 6 years, we've been really focused on the education department, which talks about families and students, the community and schools, having a piece in ensuring the academic achievement of our children. I think we are at a place now where it's time to move forward and advance to a space where it's no longer 3 siloed sections, we all come together. And we're working together with one voice for one mission. So I'm excited. I will work tirelessly. I can't wait to get started. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. And on behalf of the board, we just want to let you know that you have our full support in anything you need from us to be successful in your new position. You have us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We want a picture.
Oh,
We're gonna
take
take a
the
picture.
pictures. We can take pictures afterwards. We'll take pictures afterwards. All right. Anyone object?
Can you give a shout out to Carl for the help that he gave?
Oh, yes, and I do want to thank our outside counsel, Carl, who's invaluable during this process. Thank you very much, Mr. Christoph. It was really much appreciated. All right, hearing